Welcome to Darling Little Writer. It's Valentine's Day and I'm wearing my Lover cardigan and I have a bunch of books I want to talk about, specifically the romances in those books. So let's get started. So I'll be ranking these romances on a cuteness scale. We have fairly cute, cute, adorable, and beautiful. These are all the books that I read last year that have romances that I want to talk about in this video. So let's get started. We have a lot of Jenny Colligan, so let's start with some of her books. This first book, first of all, it's wild. It's one of her, it's like her third book she published. It's called Looking for Andrew McCarthy. Basically, the premise of this book is Ellie is turning 30. The fact that a 30-year-old did this is insane to me. But she's turning 30 and she decides, because she's having like this kind of crisis, about what she's doing with her life. And she decides to go with her best friend on a road trip through America. She's from England, so she decides to travel to America to track down Brat Pack actor Andrew McCarthy, because she idolized him growing up and she wants to ask him kind of like these philosophical questions about the meaning of life and what she should do with her life, basically, and thinks that he'll have all the answers. And so they go on this journey and they end up meeting this guy who shares his name, Andrew McCarthy, but it's not the actor. And they kind of have a little bit of a will they, won't they romance. And listen, this is a crazy book. When I first started this book, I was like, this book is insane. But it sort of came around, not because it got less insane. Arguably it got more insane, but it was just wild. But the romance, I think, is what kind of brought me into okay, there's something here. It's not super ridiculous. It is, but the romance itself was actually fairly cute, which is what I am ranking this book. Fairly cute. We have another Jenny Colligan book, Talking to Addison. This book actually has a love triangle. So, and I'm gonna kind of spoil, but the three people in this love triangle is Holly, Addison, and Finn. So Holly moves into this apartment with three other people. One of them is Addison, this socially awkward guy who doesn't really want to talk to people, but Holly loves talking, and so she just kind of talks to him, and I think he just kind of puts up with it. And she kind of builds up Addison to be this guy that he really isn't. And he also, Addison has a girlfriend, but Holly is still wants, I think still has feelings for him and is trying to pursue this relationship, to the point where Addison ends up going into a coma, and Holly becomes a huge advocate for him and all this stuff. And then there's also Finn, who is someone who is sweet and also a little nerdy, and they get along great. And I think there's just this misunderstanding or whatever, and also she just still has feelings for Addison. But eventually her and Finn get together and it's fairly cute. It is fairly cute. I will say it is fairly cute. Let's frame things up a little bit. We're going to Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. This book is cute. This book is cute. This book, first of all, it takes place in this adorable small town. There's also several other books of hers. This is the first one in the series, and I'm planning on reading the others because the small town is just so cute. But basically, the romance in this book is between Jeannie, I think is her name. Yeah, Jeannie and Logan. So Jeannie is this woman who she's a city girl. She's all about kind of her career and stuff and climbing the corporate ladder in the city, until she kind of goes through some traumatizing things and things get really hard. and her aunt is looking for someone to run her pumpkin spice cafe in this small little town, and Jeannie kind of jumps at this opportunity and really wants to make a life for herself in the small town and feels like this place is for her. Meanwhile, she runs into Logan early on, who is this kind of like grumpy farmer, and they kind of become friends. And as she's making friends with other people in town, people are like, oh, you know, if you're gonna think about dating Logan, like, he's beloved in this town, like everyone loves him, and just know that if you try and have a relationship with him, like all eyes are gonna be on you, like you better not break his heart. And that kind of like overwhelms her a little bit, and so that kind of creates some like tension in their relationship, and how, you know, does she really want to put herself in that situation, or is she really ready for that kind of relationship? Should she just focus on herself and building her life in the small town? And I think this relationship is cute. I think it's cute. I think that this, you know, the story, the setting kind of really makes it. But I do think the characters really genuinely like really love each other and care about each other. So it's cute. It's cute. Okay, let's go back to Jenny Colligan. This time we are ranking an entire series. So this is the Welcome to the School by the Sea series. It is basically follows Maggie, who is this teacher who takes this job at this boarding school, and when she starts the job, she's in this relationship, but that, like, as she pursues kind of this life working at the school, that relationship kind of dies down, and she starts to have this kind of flirtation and later relationship with one of the teachers at the boys' school, David. And their relationship, I will say, I feel like is very dramatic for no reason, really. Personally, I think. I mean, the big thing is that they're both like the boys' school and the girls' school are like related, are like connected, and basically like the drama is that they're teachers working at those schools that are dating, and you know, it's a boarding school, so everyone lives on campus, so all the kids know, and it seems to be like this big thing, when personally I don't think it's that big of a deal. But maybe, you know, it heightens the drama. But I think the relationship itself is really is cute. It's really sweet. You can tell they really care about each other. They kind of grow with one another, and they both really care about their jobs and the kids, and they kind of bond over that. And I think that that's really cute. So that's where I put that. Now going to Jenny's other books, we have her another series, kind of the bookshop series, which this one's a little different because each book is about a different character, so there's a different relationship, romance in each book. The first one is The Bookshop on the Corner with Nina and Lennox. This one is cute. This one, basically the gist of it is that like all these books take place in this small Scottish town. Nina like loses her job at a library and decides she wants to sell books, and so she goes to this small Scottish town to sell books in a van because they don't really have access to bookstores up there. So she does that, and she has to rent this space to live from this farmer, Lennox, and like Nina has this other kind of romance, and then kind of like when that doesn't work out, she starts to realize her feelings for Lennox, and I think it's cute. I really do. I think this job really does kind of set up this small town and really set up this kind of world that the other books kind of follow in line with. So I do want to give it its props, but I'm just going to keep it at cute, even though this one is adorable. This one is adorable. So this is the second book, Bookshop on the Shore, and this book is about Zoe and Ramsey. These two are adorable. Basically, so Zoe is a single mom. She really needs, like, kind of to turn around her life. And so she connects with Nina from the previous book. And while Nina is pregnant with her first child, um, she needs someone to run the book van. And so Zoe is going to run this book van and for her. And then she's also working as a nanny because she needs a place to live for these kids, Ramsey's kids. And I love the kind of nanny romances. I just think it's so sweet just because the kids really bring, I think, the like elevates the romance in so many ways, and the way that she cares for these kids and she really puts them first, and the way that her and Ramsey bond over that is just so adorable. And so that's what I put this book. And I to me, this book is my favorite in the series. So it's adorable. Going to the other books, we're kind of back at cute, even though this is still a cute romance. It's still a cute romance. It is 500 Miles from You. Again, sort of set in the same town. This story involves Lissa and Cormac, and they're both nurses, and they both get involved in this kind of transfer program. So basically, Lissa is a nurse down in the city, I believe London, and she is really burnt out, and she experienced this big traumatic moment at work and is struggling with it. And so they suggest this program because this program basically gives city nurses a little bit of a break by bringing them into small towns and kind of helping the small towns like get maybe, I don't know, access to service that they wouldn't normally get. And plus they bring nurses from these small towns into the big city, basically trading spots, with each other. And that gives like nurses from small towns experience in the city, maybe experiences they've never gotten before. And that's kind of the idea of the program. And it's cute. I think it's actually really, I will say, beautiful to see this book shine a light on healthcare workers and how important it is to make sure we're taking care of them as they're taking care of us. So that part I think is beautiful. The romance, I think, basically the romance is because they trade spots with one another, and they're basically communicating through email, which again, beautiful. It's like, it's a relationship that they, writing emails back together. They get to know each other, and they kind of get to know each other while living kind of their life. And that is really beautiful. But I do still kind of put this relationship at cute. Just because I think the relationship itself, I feel like there's only like so much that can get developed in that sort of situation. And so, yeah, I feel like if we would have seen a little bit more of their love stories, that would have been nice. And then we have the Christmas bookshop, which I just read this Christmas. So this one, I wouldn't say it's in the same series as the others, but it does take place in the same universe because some of the characters overlap with this one. So basically, this romance also involves a triangle. Gonna spoil it. It's Carmen is our girl, and then we have Oak, which is kind of her main love interest, and then there's also Blair. So Carmen is kind of having a hard time. She loses her job at this department store and is trying to figure out what she's going to do with her life. And her sister, who has always been kind of the perfect one, is having her fourth kid. She's pregnant with her fourth kid and is a lawyer, and one of her clients needs help at his bookshop, and so she offers her sister this job, and then also that she can stay with her and help with the kids because her sister can't really get around very well because she's pregnant. And so, and it's around Christmas time too. And so, Carmen does this, and they have this famous author come in, Blair, who does this book reading there, and kind of like forms this relationship with Carmen. And the book kind of had me being like, oh, maybe Blair could be the guy. Maybe I could see it, but he, like, if he kind of comes across as this player, and like, he's just like all about the fame and money and whatever. And like, there could be a story where Blair kind of changes and sees the error of his ways and falls in love with Carmen, and then they settle down in this small little town. But it becomes very apparent that Blair's not changing. He's not changing. But then there's also this other guy, Oak, who is in academia. He teaches at the university, and he's just so sweet. He's kind of quiet, and he, is just kind of the more grounded, down to earth guy that Carmen is looking for. And I do think their relationship is cute. Part of me wishes that Oak would have been more present at the beginning, before Carmen kind of discovered her feelings for him and wanting to go for him. I think the book really kind of wanted people to think Blair was kind of the main love focus at first, so I think that's why that didn't happen. But I do really like Carmen and Oak, and I think their relationship is cute. I do. Now we're talking about Flying Solo, and this is such an interesting book. This is an interesting romance. So basically, this romance follows Lori and Nick, and let me start over. So Lori has to return to her hometown because her great aunt passed away. And she always had a special relationship with her great aunt. She grew up with a lot of siblings, and so whenever she wanted peace and quiet, she would go to her great aunt's house and kind of get that, and kind of get the attention that she wasn't necessarily getting at home. And so when her great aunt died, she really wanted to make sure that she was giving her great aunt's house like the love it needed to go through all her stuff and to really kind of deal with all that. And basically her great aunt had these really amazing adventures. She had this adventurous life, and she had all these things from her adventures. So she wanted to make sure that all that stuff was really taken with care. And while she's doing this, some kind of like craziness happens. To be honest, I didn't know what to expect from this book, but it was really interesting. Basically, she reconnects with her ex-boyfriend from high school, Nick, and Nick is helping her through this process and really kind of reminding her of, like, giving her a home when she really needs it. But the thing is like, she doesn't live at home anymore. This is supposed to be temporary. So there's this whole like kind of drama about like, can they make things work? Because Nick never wanted to leave home, and he really can't. He's in a position where he really can't do that. So the way they solve that is really interesting. And I really enjoyed their relationship. And so I'm going to say the relationship was adorable. I think it was adorable. Now we're getting to peak adorability. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm making it a word. With this one funny story. For the premise alone, this is adorable. All right. So for those who don't know, because I know you've heard this book. I know you've heard of this book. But basically you have Daphne, who is engaged with Peter. And Peter's best friend that's a girl, is Petra, who is dating Miles. And before the wedding, Peter dumps Daphne to be with Petra, and Petra dumps Miles to be with Peter. And they, run off with a romance. And keep in mind, Daphne has like moved to Michigan for him because Peter grew up in Michigan. This is like his hometown, or near his hometown. And like he wanted to live here, and so she kind of like abandoned her life to live here, and is kind of like, is very much like hasn't really established her life in Michigan. It's all surrounding Peter, so she is kind of left like with not knowing what to do. So she decides, or her and Miles end up rooming together because Miles is also dealing with his heartbreak, and is without a roommate because Petra moved out. So they room together. They're kind of like like bonding over this heartbreak a little bit and become friends. And then they get invited to Peter and Petra's wedding. So yes, those two did get engaged in this time. And they decide to, I think drunkenly decide to RSVP, and they'll go with each other. And then that turns into them pretending to be dating, and it's so great. The relationship between Daphne and Miles is so adorable. It just is. It is so adorable. The way they are helping each other grow, the way they are supporting each other, the way they are communicating with each other, which is like rare in romances sometimes. It's so adorable. It is adorable. This is the peak adorable book. Now let's frame things up even more with a book that I was actually really nervous about adding to this video because it's not a romance, but it involves a romance. I think that this book should be more talked about, so I am including it. It is Lessons in Chemistry. And do not get it twisted. This book is first and foremost the amazing story of Elizabeth Zott. Okay, this book takes place in the 60s. Elizabeth is a chemist, and not, because she's a woman, she's not well respected in her field, even though she is super smart and intelligent and hardworking. She kind of defies all odds, moves forward. She has this romance with Calvin, who is this kind of well-renowned, very well-respected chemist. And they kind of navigate that relationship together because they both work at the same lab. So they have to navigate kind of those dynamics, which honestly I feel like Elizabeth is the one kind of having to deal with it more than him. But, they're doing that, and they don't get married or anything. But big spoiler alert for this book. But Calvin ends up dying in an accident, and Elizabeth has to move forward. And first of all, her journey after that is so beautiful in itself. And also, I'm kind of skipping a lot of the plot just to focus on the romance between Elizabeth and Calvin. But I just think that their romance was so beautiful, especially because I feel like anything that is short-lived like that ended before it was supposed to is beautiful in itself. But the way that they were able to connect over science, and the way that they understood each other and respected each other, I think is really beautiful itself. And I think the way that Elizabeth was able to kind of build a life for herself after his death, to build a family for herself, because she did that. She was the one who really moved forward and did that, but he kind of left, he helps in multiple ways with kind of getting people first to really notice her, and also to kind of bring her a family that she really didn't have. So I think that this is a beautiful romance. It is also just a beautiful story of a woman who was not treated fairly and still rose above to make the best of what she could. So I just wanted to include that in the beautiful category. And then my pick for most beautiful love story that I at least read last year. If you were looking for a true romance this Valentine's Day, this one's for you. It is Tom Lake. It's the summer of 2020, right? There's a pandemic. Laura is home with her kids, and all her kids are home because of the pandemic, and there's not really much to do, so they're helping out with like the family farm, and to pass the time, her daughters are asking about this romance she had with a famous actor. And because they knew of this, but they didn't know the story. So she's telling the story of her romance with a famous actor, and there's ups and downs. It doesn't really go well, but it kind of leads into the story of her and her husband, which this one I do not want to spoil for you. So I'm just going to say her husband, which is the true love story of this book, and is so beautiful. It is so well written. It is so well done. I love this book. I did not know what to expect when I went into this book, and I was pleasantly surprised by an amazing love story. It is just beautiful. And I just want to say, if you need a romance, I highly recommend this book. It's there's some drama, there's like sadness in it, but it is so beautiful. I declare Tom Lake as the most beautiful romance, at least that I read in 2024. So that is my ranking of these romances. Please let me know what you think. Let me know what you're reading this Valentine's Day. What other romances you recommend or you want me to talk about. And I hope you're feeling the love at least one way or another this month.